Welcome to the Polaris Connection, the podcast that lights the way for families of autistic and neurodivergent children. I am your host, Brad Broyles, and each week we will sit down with industry experts, therapists, teachers, and more to bring you the most current insight, support, and hope. Whether you're navigating a new diagnosis or just need a reminder that you are not alone, this is your place to learn, grow, and connect. We are dedicated in connecting neurodivergent paths with purpose. So let's take this journey together, one conversation at a time. Welcome everybody to our very first show of the Polaris Connection. We are so grateful that you joined us, and today we have a treat. The co-founders of Polaris Academy and Starlight Behavior Academy, Nathan and Darcy Palmer. Thank you so much for being with us today. Welcome to the show and our audience.
Thanks for having us, Brad. We're excited to be here.
No, it's an honor. You know, it's the first episode, but Brad's been practicing, so really internally he's gotten it down so that the first one looks like it's great. It's really like the 6th or 7th from my understanding.
Well, thank you for telling everybody our deep secrets back here. So thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that.
I just appreciate the consideration.
Well, wonderful. Well, when we put together this podcast for our parents, we really wanted to kind of show what the behind the scenes of Polaris Academy. And obviously, Nathan and Darcy, you laid the foundation. It would not be around if it wasn't for you. But before we dive into Polaris Academy, I know everybody wants to know, how did you both meet? Darcy, how did you meet Nathan? And what was your very first impression when you saw him?
Yeah, sure. So we met through church. We were both on a committee together. And so we worked together, and the more we talked, the more we realized that we knew each other. We knew the same people. Okay. I knew his sister. He had grown up with my cousin. And so we knew a lot of the same people, a lot of the same friends. And so it was an easy connection for us. And I loved his attention to detail and all of his. I thought he was very charming. One of the things that stood out to me, that one of the attributes that I really liked about him, was that he paid a lot of attention to details, and that he really liked helping other people.
Well, that's true. Yeah. He is a very detailed individual. Absolutely, it's incredible to watch him work. But
thanks.
Well, and also, I mean, Nathan, how did you, it sounds like you guys knew each other, but kind of how did you begin the conversation with Darcy when you guys first met?
Yeah, so that's the irony, is like we knew all the same people, but we never crossed paths. So when we did, we started making these connections like, wow, how did this never happen before? And I think it's just the timing of it needed to happen when it did. I instantly was attracted to Darcy. It's funny, we served together, but even before that, there was like a singles Christmas party that we had gone to. And it was one of those mixers where you do activities, like you get a sheet just to make sure you meet new people, and one of them was go give somebody a hug. And I saw Darcy, and she instantly caught my eye, and she's the first one I went to go ask.
She was like, I'm going to give her a long hug.
Yeah, so my sights got focused from there, and it just kind of all fell into line after that.
Oh, that's awesome. What are some, Darcy, what are some qualities? You talked about Nathan being, attentive to detail. How did that help in building this power couple relationship? What are some qualities that really attracted you to Nathan?
It's funny, I've got a couple stories for you. I've got, when he first asked for my number, he didn't have anything to write it down with. So I'm like, you don't have anything to write it down? You want to get it later? He's like, no, just give it to me. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is my number, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, he's not gonna call. He's not gonna remember, but he did. And so I was super excited.
So he memorized your phone number. Yeah. How many times did you have to tell him? Once, twice?
Once. Told him once. And he remembered it. So.
Wow. He really wanted to know you and give you that long hug.
I told you, I had her. The number was later after the hug. I was already engaged, so yeah.
That's awesome.
And then another story I had is he was we were with some family friends, and they had a teen, and he was playing cards with them, and this teen was super competitive, and Nathan's pretty good at cards. So he was sitting there playing with a teen, and he was trying to tell the teen, give him tips and tricks on how to beat him. And so I thought that was impressive that he really wanted to help that individual to become better, better self.
So even when you're first dating, he was still helping children, helping people, making those type of connections.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it just seems like he was destined to start a school for autistic kids.
I wish someone had told me earlier, but.
Well, what about you, Nathan? I mean, other than memorizing her number and stalking her a little bit, what qualities did Darcy have that you found really attractive?
Yeah, great question. I mean, first off, she's Darcy's gorgeous. That's why she caught my eye. And the more I learned that she's as beautiful, if not more so, inside, it just got me going. She just has a wonderful energy. They say opposites attract. And for those that know me, I'm kind of a closet introvert. I'm fine in my own little corner. Darcy was just so much more alive. I kind of called it her spunk, I guess, and I loved that. It was kind of intoxicating at first, that she brought things and experiences and perspectives that I just hadn't considered. So I just felt more alive when I was around her. Sometimes in marriage that can be a conflict, and it has at times. You get what's first intoxicating becomes infuriating, and the more we've grown, the more I honestly just genuinely appreciate who she is, her uniqueness, all the different perspectives she has, and it's something I cherish. Like I'd be missing out on things if I didn't have her. So, her energy above all, she just has a glow about her when she's with people, and she brings out the best in you.
Well, I think that meets for all. Does that count for all the Valentine gifts, Darcy? That was pretty nice.
No.
That was very well said.
Still want gifts.
I'm a gift person too, so I have no problem continuing the gift strategy. That's all good.
Well, that's really nice. I've had the unique opportunity to see both of you together for a long time. We've been friends and associate for a long time, and everything that you're both saying are true. That's what we've been able to observe, and so lucky and blessed to work with you together in this journey of building up Polaris Academy, Starlight Behavioral as well. What are some fun stories, some dating experience? Everybody kind of wants to know. Again, the purpose of today's show is to kind of open the curtain a little bit, know who the founders are of Polaris Academy and Starlight Behavioral Academy. We'll get to those type of businesses here in a second. But before we do, everybody just wants to get to know more about Nathan and Darcy Palmer. Do you have a fun story that you like to share about in your dating experience?
I could share one.
Go for it. Yeah.
So at one point, Darcy was like ready to break up with me, and she actually kind of tried breaking up. But I was like,
how old were both of you when you were dating? Like, how old was?
She was 20. I was 22, 23, right around there.
Okay.
And I wasn't okay with that. So I remember her telling me that she was thinking about breaking up, and I just said, no, we're not going to break up. So it was an awkward moment where we ended up not breaking up, and I kind of just said, no, that's not going to happen today. So it was kind of sweet how it went down, but it was just funny. It was as we were learning to get to know each other. Really, it kind of forced me to come to the table and really buy in. And it wasn't too much longer after that we got engaged. And
wow.
I knew I wanted her and wasn't going to let her go.
So almost like, hey, we need to break up, and Nathan's like, no, I see a bigger picture. We're gonna do this. Darcy, how did you feel with that type of rebuttal?
I was caught off guard, to be honest with you. I was like, what? That's not how I saw this going.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're glad you stuck it out. What about you? Any fun stories that you have with Nathan when you guys were both dating?
It's funny, even when he first asked me out, right before we did, me and my girlfriend, who's actually Brad's wife, so I've known Brad's wife for a long time. We're really good friends.
Shows how long we've kind of known each other. Yep.
Yeah, that's how we kind of bring everything together. So me and her kind of made a pact, and we were like, you know what, we're done dating. We both told each other we'll just both be done for a bit. We're not gonna go date. And I said, okay. So the next day Nathan asked me out, and I'm like, oh no.
Well, and if I remember right, I think my wife, she was like, yeah, Darcy, don't date Nathan anymore. She wasn't supportive of you.
So listen, that further to that story, sorry if I'm going to tell a second one. So when I called her, she asked if I was going to a mutual friend's wedding. So it's her cousin. It's a friend of mine that I'd grown up with. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there to the reception. And that's where I'd planned to ask her out, right? So I figured I'd show up early, I'd ask her, and I'd leave. Well, I showed up, and she hadn't arrived yet. And then, bride and groom came out, did their dance, and she wasn't there yet. And they had cake, and she wasn't there yet. And then the couple left, and she wasn't there yet. And so I'm cleaning up tables and putting away chairs. Like, I'm determined I'm asking this girl out. And by the time we were halfway done with the cleanup, I'm like, all right, this is stupid. I'm going home. I leave. I get to the first street light. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go check one more time. Get back there, and sure enough, she had gotten there late, and so we met kind of in the dance area, and that's when I asked her out. So I think even if she had said no then in their pact, I was so invested, I think I would have just made her go with me anyways.
Wow, that's an awesome story. You're like, I am determined. I'm just going to keep with it. And so all the guys that are listening, if you're dating somebody, I think, these are really good words of wisdom. Stick with it. If you like her, she's, Darcy's worth the wait, and, she's an amazing lady. Every time I've been around her, she's blessed my life as well, and we're so grateful to have you. So thank you, Darcy, and thank you, Nate. Real fast, before we move to kind of more the details of Polaris Academy, we'd like to know how Nathan, tell us about how you proposed to Darcy. This is a fun story. It needs to be shared. I have the advantage of knowing it, but I feel like our audience would really would like to hear. Sure.
There's a lot that went into that, but the short version. So my grandmother is very famous for composing music. She, for those that have been around the Mesa Easter pageant, she wrote all those songs. And one Christmas after 9/11, I actually helped her compose a patriotic Christmas theme. So I did the piano side, and she did the music. And that exhibit was playing during one of the Christmas presentations in Central Mesa. And Darcy had seen it and heard it. She didn't know it was mine. We hadn't really connected yet. And later we were doing a recording as a family after we had started dating. So we'd been around for a while. The family wanted to put together a big version, and it was on her birthday. I was like, hey, I've got to go do this recording first. And so there was a series of things that had gone on prior to her birthday. We had gone up to your wife's aunt's cabin, I think, for like a trip. You weren't there. But I had already picked out her engagement ring. She didn't know. And it was ready the day we left. So I had the ring with me that whole weekend in my bag. And it was like burning a hole in my pocket because I'm there with Darcy in the mountains and I'm not ready to propose yet, but I've got the ring. So I'm like looking at it every chance I can get. One of the things we did there just for fun was there was a whole scrapbooking room, if I remember, like a whole basement of scrapbook stuff. And we thought it'd be fun to scrapbook pages of things we might do in the future. And one of them was one for Disneyland. So I'm like, okay. And I start putting pieces together. I'm like, I'm going to take her to Disneyland. So on her birthday, I start giving her these gifts. One of them was that scrapbook page. And I'm saying, hey, we're going to Disneyland. I kind of wanted that to be the big gift to throw her off because I had a feeling she was wondering if I was going to propose. Okay. The date, ironically, that we picked for
Darcy, did you feel this coming? Did you feel that he was getting ready to propose to you?
We had talked here and there a little bit about stuff, but I wasn't sure.
Okay. But did the Disneyland kind of help if that, hey, this might be leading to the path of a proposal?
No, it didn't. It was a fun page that we both thought would be awesome, and so looking back, probably should have.
She's like, sure, I'll go to Disneyland.
I'll go to Disneyland.
I was trying to distract her with the other things, right? The irony is the date we set on it was September 7th, and that ended up being the day that our first boy was born, Nate, that kind of started Polaris, which is kind of cool.
That's
and then
awesome.
later that night, I took her dancing, and then I just kind of proposed and gave her the ring. So it was a few different things, but for us it was personal and just kind of summed up our story of the things that led us there.
Wow. Darcy, how did you feel about the experience? Excited, I hope.
She said
I said yes.
Well, and then now these. I mean, how long have you both been married?
It'd be 23 years this October.
23 years. Wow. And after 23 years, you tell us a little bit about your children. Now, I know a lot. I know you have four boys. Darcy, kind of explain. You kind of have a unique background with these with your children. If you wouldn't mind, kind of telling the story a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. We've got 4 boys all together, so we kind of have a busy house. So yeah, our oldest 2 boys are actually adopted, and so, but I love all of our boys. We've got our oldest, Nate, who goes to Polaris. He's 14. Then we've got Sawyer 11 and Dylan 10 and Bennett is 9. So the rest kind of came all together, but it's fun. It's awesome.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, what Sawyer and Bennett, are they in the same grade? Is that
Not quite.
okay? Because
They're
close.
all a grade apart, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're fifth, sixth.
I knew that there was because they were. Tell us if I know that they're Nathan and Sawyer were adopted, and that there was. It just seems like you have a group all close together. So how close are these age groups? I mean, like they're like 9 months apart, 10 months apart, something similar like that.
I think all 3 of them are 2 years and like 3 months apart or something.
Yeah,
They're
it's
close.
like 27 months apart, all
Yeah.
3. And it's, when we adopted our Sawyer, we weren't sure we were going to have kids. So in the adoption world at 2, it's kind of hard after that. So we were settled with that. Sawyer was born in January, and then found out we were expecting in March, which was a total shock. I didn't even, you watch TV and you see the announcements like, hey, I'm pregnant. And I remember when she told me, it was more like, I'm pregnant? And I'm like, what? Are
Wow.
you sure? Are the tests expired? I mean, it was kind of like.
I said, no, I'm not sure.
And so he was born in December, so they're 11 months apart.
That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, so that's crazy. So Sawyer was born in January, and then Bennett was born in that same year.
Or Dylan in December,
Dylan.
yeah. So yeah,
Dylan,
quick.
sorry.
Yep.
So Dylan, yep.
Yep, and then the caboose came, 16 months later, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. What a incredible story. Then with now, tell us your journey, Nathan, about discovering. So Nate Jr., your oldest, he's on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. Tell us the journey about raising a child on the spectrum.
Yeah, well, Nate was our first, and so he was also diabetic at a very young age. And so honestly, we didn't even know he was on the spectrum or what that meant or what that looked like until he was almost in first grade. It was kindergarten.
How old was he when you both adopted him?
A newborn.
At birth. Mm-hmm.
At birth, okay.
Yep. Yeah, so it's very disorienting. I mean, I think every parent has their own experience with that, but it kind of just resets your world because you're a parent, right? And some things are off or different, but having not had exposure to it before, being the first child, not knowing what is normal or what isn't, you beat yourself up a lot for, well, why didn't I see this sooner? Why didn't I catch that? And it's really easy to look back and be hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think what helped me was just trying to embrace the journey of autism rather than trying to fight against it. And so Initially it's a lot of, how do we fix this? How do we change this? And I'm glad that, especially Darcy, the way she's parented and embraced them and just loved them, set a different tone where, we don't need to change them. We need to support him. We need to be there for him. And the way she jumped in, in engaging him in his world and his style, I think made all the difference for him.
Well, Darcy, with you, I mean, when you tell us your journey of discovering or finding out that Nate Jr. had autism, mm-hmm. and how did you feel about it?
Yeah, so it's just when you first, or at least for us, he first got diagnosed, it was just a lot of unsurety, and not knowing what his long-term future looks like. Do we need to start planning for him living with us? Do we need to start planning for, can he live next door? Can he live more of a typical lifestyle, or, not sure what he's needing long-term. And it was just going through that and really just giving myself grace and going, okay, I'm just going to learn today. I'm just going to figure out what today is, and just learning a bit more on how his brain works and just how to work with an autistic kid. I remember a fun little story on how, he's very literal, and so he liked keys a lot. He liked car keys, and I had him on the countertop. I said, Nate, you can't touch the keys. They need to stay right here. My car keys need to stay right here. And he kept taking them. I said, Nate, and so I said, Nate, if you take the car keys again, you'll need to go in timeout. And so I saw him come and take the car keys and put himself in timeout. And I realized, that's exactly what I said.
So he took the car keys and then he walked to timeout with the. Yeah. Did he have the car keys in his hands when he walked to timeout? Or wow. Yeah.
It's just fun, but you know what? It's been such a joy, like learning, and just I've asked therapists so many different questions, and it really is rewarding seeing when they reach their goals, and just understanding and appreciating their difference. It is really neat, and they truly are gifts.
I kind of want to go back to when he was first diagnosed for a second, if you don't mind me asking you. Most parents, when they find the diagnosis, they get, Nathan kind of explained it well, as that they get lost, they get scared, they want to fix it. Like, okay, how do I, as if like, my child's broken, how do I fix it? Please, somebody help me fix this child. Tell me, Darcy, if you wouldn't mind, give me your thought process. What were some signs that you saw that you're like, wow, maybe I should get Nate Jr. diagnosed? And how did you feel about that process?
Yeah, so there were signs early on. Like I said, he had a lot of different medical things that we had to address first, and that came first. But I did see signs as far as like in crowds or in public, the sound sensitivity was really... he had a hard time with he'd have small little breakdowns. It was easier to keep him home than go out. Okay. But it was a little confusing for us because I needed to keep him home for other reasons too. But that was a sign that we sound sensitivities, and him not engaging with other with peers.
Okay. So that was noticed. But then also, Nate Jr., if it's okay to share that he's also a diabetic. Was it because of his diabetes if that he saw the doctors, that you're like, oh, and the doctor's like, hey, just so you guys know that he might have it? Or did you see those signs early and you're like, uh-oh, maybe we need to go see him to get diagnosed?
Yeah, on our own.
Okay. Because sometimes parents are not able to, I guess what I'm trying to get to is, for our parents, what are some signs early on that, yeah, maybe my child doesn't have autism, but from your experience, that might say, hey, this child might have autism, and I need to go take the next step and get him diagnosed?
I'd talk to your pediatrician, and always an evaluation will be good. That's the best route to do, is speak first with your pediatrician and kind of watch for the milestones. Are they hitting their milestones?
Okay.
And I would just say trust your intuition. It's so easy to look back and go, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this sooner. I should have made this decision. And look, we're parents, and everybody does the best they can. But if you feel something's off, kids on the spectrum are so diverse. I mean, where one might hate sounds, another would love loud sounds. And I think there's a sense of there's just something different. And it's okay to say, hey, there's something different. They don't all need to be the same, and trust your instincts if you want to get it looked at a little more closely.
Well, and I like how you said, give yourself some grace, trust your instincts as a parent. This is new for a lot of people. And let me ask you this, Nathan. What was your experience? Well, okay, so Nate Jr. is diagnosed with autism. He's around first grade-ish. What do you do?
I will tell you, and I can't speak for Darcy, but I kind of think that the approach from a mom versus a dad is a little different, and I don't mean to bifurcate that, but she was much more loving and nurturing and understanding, whereas I was, okay, what do we do and what's next and what are the steps, and I actually hear that from a lot of the dads I meet when we tour the school. My instinct was, hey, let's take him to public school, let's get him around normal kids, and let's show him what things are, to try to program it out. And it wasn't until I stopped trying to fix it that I really could just embrace and really love him the way he needed. Because as much as I thought I was doing it out of love, what we saw as he grew is he knew he was different, right? He knew he wasn't like his peers, and that creates some self-confidence issues. It makes it harder for him to grow with regular peers and friendships, and having a dad that was like reinforcing you being in this environment that's not supportive, it's hard. So the biggest shift for me was really embracing it, not trying to fix it, not just programming it, but going, irrespective of what happens, this is my son, he's unique, and I love his uniqueness, and then the rest of it just becomes a blessing.
Well, and I think a lot of parents fall into that trap, and it's so easy that we want to so-called fix it, and by us trying to so-called fix it, it sounds like it almost makes the problem a little bit worse. It creates more distance between the parent and child. You're not able to connect or pair, what the industry likes to say, because we're trying to so-called fix it. Give us grace, keep working with your child. Darcy, what were your thoughts and feelings, and what was your next step? Nate Jr. was diagnosed with autism at first grade-ish. What did you do?
So I just I joined Facebook group and just kind of tried to get in that culture in other moms' mindsets and things like that. Have that community. Then I also just read as much as I could on it to inform myself and start getting him the resources that he needed, and just making the home a little more adaptable to him, that felt safety there, where he feels real comfortable. And so that's what.
Well, and that's wonderful. And that's kind of the reason why we started this podcast, is to show parents, one, you're not alone. There are resources out there to help you. We're here to help you. It is a community. There are a lot of people in your shoes. It's okay. And we can do this together. Because what I like about, the more I'm around autistic children, we talk about superpowers. And it's like, okay, now they have this superpower. How do we, I wish I had superpowers. But these kids are amazing. So now, Nathan, tell me your journey about, what is the journey of working with a child on the spectrum? I know that you were trying to put him into school. Tell the audience your journey of trying to get Nathan Jr. into a school setting and to develop him.
Yeah, well, it was a shared journey, honestly, and I think Darcy's experience was different than mine. We could probably answer that question for like 2 hours, but the short and sweet of it was, there's so much out there available for autism resources. There's ABA therapy, there's occupational therapy, and speech therapy, and music therapy, and all these different things. And the struggle I always had was, I'd watch my wife take Nate to school, and then after school do all these other supports, and then during school they had some supports, but it meant pulling him out of the classroom. And it always frustrated me that education was always at the sacrifice of therapy supports, and therapy supports were always at the sacrifice of education. And it frankly was a lot of burnout. And so, why we loved public school, because initially I thought, hey, he's got all these peer models he can follow, and the staff was super supportive. Ultimately, he was just getting more and more detached because he was different. And we started looking for options. COVID hit, and so we tried homeschool, and bless my wife for homeschooling 4 little boys that
and all the moms out there that had to do similar things.
Like, oh my gosh. And so then COVID lives, and we start looking at private schools, and some of them like, well, he doesn't quite identify. He is, he is more functional. He is a little bit more social. He's not so just one-to-one needs. And finding a place for him was really hard. One, if I did find a place that maybe I thought he could fit, there was no room. And there were other concerns about his medical condition, like with diabetes. And after a visit to a school we thought was going to work that didn't, we finally, just out of frustration, like, that's it, we're going to start our own. Throwing it out there, no plan necessarily in place, but the more I think I thought about that is where the seed was planted at Polaris. Like, why do you have to separate it? Why can't I just combine these things? And that started this journey over the last 2 years where this new thing has blossomed, and it took our shared experiences to really build that vision.
Wow.
But yeah, it was hard, but it was full of hope because we got to try to do something different, and it's been so rewarding to see our story was shared by so many other people.
And that's what it's been incredible. As this school has developed, we are able to connect and share these stories with so many people in our wonderful community. Before we dive into there, Darcy, could you give us your experience of trying to put Nate Jr. into a good school? What was your journey like? What was your experience? And how can you, and I think our audience would love to hear it.
Sure, yeah. So to Mr. Kazmarik's credit, Nate went to a local school, and he happened to be the principal there. And, everybody, the staff knew that Nate needed extra help and watched over, and I would walk Nate through to his classroom or wherever, go to lunch with him, and while I was there on campus with him, I felt like I was walking around with a celebrity, because everyone would be like, "Hey, Nate, hi, how are you doing?" I'd be like, "Wow, everybody knows you." So it just made me feel really good. So I really did love having him at Mr. Kazmarik's school. I'm so grateful that he's at Polaris. But yeah, no, you really do whatever you can to help your kiddo succeed. I remember I'd drive for an hour to and from, taking him to school every day, and I did that for a year. And you just want the best for your kid, and whatever that takes, it's just, you do what you can. So yeah.
So kind of backing up, you took Nate Jr. to school. Did he attend public school, Darcy? Is that right?
He attended public school, and
Okay.
I soon found out that, even though I really loved the staff there, it just wasn't made for him. It wasn't made for specialized kids. It was neurotypical kids. So as he was there, longer he was there, the larger the gap was between him and other students, and it affected his self-confidence, and he could tell he was that much different, and he was getting pulled out and pulled away from being able to socialize with his peers more, and so it was that's what led us on to moving to the next one, and then the next one.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Well, and so he would go to public school normal hours, but then if I remember correctly, after school hours, what was your life like with Nathan Jr.?
Therapies. It would be
how many a day?
Driving.
Okay, so like how many therapists would he see in a normal day or a normal week?
Depends on the day.
Yeah, it depended on the time of season, but between speech, OT, ABA, he even did physical therapy for a little bit. So it was as much as I could fit in his schedule that I could. With it, trying to still balance family life, and I really wish I could have thrown him into like a fun activity as well, something he would have liked to do, arts or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I knew he needed help with therapies and things like that.
And to the audience, just I've known Nathan and Darcy for a long time, and when Nathan explained to me, really, Darcy, your lifestyle of taking Nate Jr. to school, and then after all these different therapy hours, most people, they're racing their child after school to take them to football practice, baseball practice, soccer, dance, all that stuff. With your experience, you're running your child to different therapy sessions, and that's a lot of time, but obviously you love your child. Throughout that experience, what did you learn from therapists, or how did that affect Nathan Jr. throughout that experience?
I am glad that I was able to go to the therapist, because while I was, he got the help he needed, and also I was able to ask them lots of questions. I probably was that annoying parent that kept asking too much.
Invested.
So
I like that. We call it an invested parent, not an annoying parent. There you go. Love it.
But it got burnt out for him, and as I would take him to, and I kept trying to talk to the therapist and be like, hey, ABA therapist, can speech join in or something, can you, can I bring my BCBA in with speech? And they'd be like, and they would say, no, we do things differently. We don't like the way speech does this, and vice versa. I'm like, well, but you guys both have great tools to pull from. If one's not working, we can use the other, and you balance each other. So I was trying to fit in more therapies for him that way, and that didn't work. So I'm glad we're able to get that up.
So that's nuts. Is that common? Do therapists talk to each other? Like your ABA therapist will talk to your speech?
They'll communicate, but as far as I had a hard time getting them to do therapy at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Just a little unofficial plug for Darcy. She was so engaged with them. She's unofficially, I think, proficient in every therapy discipline at this point. And she would sometimes just say, hey, try this and do it this way. And she was there every step of the way.
Well, and it is a lot. And for those parents that have autistic children, I think they get to the point to where they're just as proficient in therapy as the therapists themselves. It really is a lot for everybody, but it's definitely rewarding. Let's jump over. What was the moment, Nathan, that you're running Nathan Jr. to all these different therapies, these different schools. You're kind of getting the results you wanted. Also, kind of frustrated because the results are not there as one would hope. What was the moment or the process of diving into the deep and starting your own school? Like, that sounds crazy.
Well, there was two moments. The first, I can tell you exactly where I was standing. I can pull out a calendar, tell you the exact day and time. I was in a parking lot outside of a school where my son had just got rejected. And it was an appointment I thought was going to be an enrollment appointment, and instead it was a let us call you down here to meet with you for 30 minutes only to tell you he's not going to go here.
Oh, that's awful.
And that was I forget which rejection number that was out of a string of options we were looking for. And I was frustrated, and I said to Darcy, it's like, that's it. I'm just starting my own school. And it was more a comment in frustration, but that seed got planted, and I was like, well, hang on, what would I do if I started a school? And all these things that had been frustrating me on how inefficient it was, how taxing it was on Darcy, on our family, on Nate, I just started formulating this idea of, well, what if we combine it all together? What if there was a way to harmonize all these cohesive therapies with education at school, without pullouts, without separation? And the more I explored that idea, the more excited I got. I don't even know how serious I was about it, Brad. Darcy and I, we'd share these ideas, and like any parent out there, there's 1,000 parents, there's 1 million parents like me out there going, well, if I did it, I would do X, Y, Z. Like, we've all had these thoughts. And I think what really started me down the road is we started sharing these ideas with a couple people, and the response we got was so supportive. Honestly, within 2 weeks of planting the seed, the financial backing, the academic backing and expertise, and the structure literally fell in my lap. The road was before us, and we just went. And
Wow.
I'm so glad that we did.
Well, and like you said, a lot of parents will sit back, not a lot, but some sit back and say, well, if I was coaching the team, well, if I was running this business, well, I will do this. Darcy, what did you think when Nathan came to you and say, hey, let's start a school?
Two things.
It's just a common thing.
That question.
It's a common conversation over dinner.
I thought he was crazy. And then I was really grateful at the same time because I knew what that would mean for our son. So, and for others that would be in the same situation. So I was very grateful.
Well, and in our following episode, I want to talk a little bit more details about Polaris Academy. But for you, Darcy, when starting a school for autism, what were the key pillars that you're like, okay, Nathan, if we're going to do this, here are these 3 things that we just have to get right. What would that be?
Socializing was a big deal, after having him at home or in smaller school settings. He needed to be around kids like him, and he needed that association. He needed to make those friendships. So being able to socialize and be in a classroom with others like him. And having all the therapies and everybody not just be able to collaborate and speak with each other, but to be able to work with each other, to be there at the same time with a kid, being able to bring all their skill sets to the table at once, for the benefit of the child, having those behavioral goals, and academic goals. And of course it's academics on a level that he would understand, that would be for him. A lot of times, through other systems, here's the curriculum and we'll send the kid through. And here has a lot more to do with the kid in mind. What does this kid need specifically? And how can we tailor that to fit their needs?
Well, going back to the very first thing you said was socializing.
Yeah.
These people need a place to connect. Kids need a place to connect. Why is that so important? Why was setting up a foundation of we need a place for these children to connect with their peers? Why is that so important as a foundation basis?
They need to know that they belong somewhere. They need to have that feeling of, hey, this is my place. I belong here. And they need to know how to work with other people, peers, and as well as adults and kids of all ages. And they need that skill set.
Well, and then jumping on, I love that socializing. We all need our friends. We all need to feel connected. We need to have connecting to our communities and with our peers. Nathan, explain a little bit more about how the therapy, that was a big part. So we have socializing, therapy, and academics as big key pillars. How was blending the therapy going to work at Polaris, or what was different that you wanted to bring to this new venture?
That is the question. I wanted it all. It started with why don't they do it that way? And I learned very quickly that, a lot of therapy, it's treated more like medical service. So whether it's state deity services or health insurance, there's privacy laws and the way they go about and regulate it. I understand now why they pulled my son out of class, why they only did one-to-one environments. And it was frustrating. And so our solution was, let's just not bill insurance and let's not bill the state. Let's just hire, frankly, really overqualified school aides that are trained in therapy disciplines. And we asked, does that have restrictions? And this is, no, if you do it that way, you can kind of do whatever you want. So this is great. Then I want it all. And what started becoming really apparent was these kids can socialize. When you put them in an environment with their peers, they open up because they recognize, while yes, they're all still unique, they have something in common, and they just instinctively recognize it. And when when the therapy supports become part of the school experience. Instead of isolating them and singling them out one at a time, which just defeats their internal, self-worth, they're part of a group. And so now we're doing group behavior dynamics and group speech and group OT techniques. Nobody's got the spotlight on them, so the anxiety melts away because they're not on call 24/7 with their therapist. It's a group of them. We avoid any HIPAA issues because we just don't tell them whose goals we're focusing on at any one given time, but we get to practice as a group. And so, what I kind of started to see was the good and bad of traditional therapy. While it's effective in that one-to-one and concentrated environment, it has an unintended consequence of teaching the children that they can only pair with an adult. And I can't tell you how many parents I meet when I share my story. Yeah, my son, he was the principal's best friend and the coach's best friend, but he had no friends. And we go to a park and he wants to talk with the parents, not the kids. And all these parents are like nodding, yeah, mine too. And and this light bulb goes on. Well, we're programming it. We're putting them one-to-one with an adult in therapy, and we're saying this is your environment. We're taking them out of the social environment and sticking them in the therapy one-to-one with an adult. And we've programmed this antisocial behavior. And the biggest aha we had at Polaris the first year was when you take that element out and you provide the therapies in such a way that most of them don't even realize they're getting therapy. It just feels like school.
Just natural.
They blossom and they have friendships. My son got invited to like a party by a girl, and kids are flirting and having peer groups. And it was so refreshing seeing that you really can combine it. So for me, that aspect was the most, and it blends into social, but that was like the most rewarding thing, because now we don't have to run everywhere, and it's not till 6:00 every night, and he gets all of it.
That's awesome. So kind of going back to that, are you still, it sounds like you answered that question. Are you still running him to additional therapy after school now, or does Polaris Academy kind of take care of that?
So I'm signing him up for speech at Watch Me Grow. So as soon as we so he'll be starting there next week, just for a little bit of extra speech there. So
for some extra, but
not
you're not
nearly,
driving as many.
No.
Yeah.
No. So and I think that's kind of what you're not driving as much as you used to before. Save some time, be more with your family. But it sounds like now you're able to target, okay, Nate Jr. needs a little bit more help with speech. We can target that just for the time being. That's awesome. That's incredible. That is, this has been very inspiring. I really appreciate you both being here. One thing I like to leave with, and I know our audience would love to know as well, is advice. You've worked with Nathan Jr. since first grade on the spectrum. Now Nate Jr. is, I believe he's in 9th grade. Is that correct?
Yeah, can't believe it.
So he's getting older. You've really been working on this for a long time, plus building a school, working with therapists, you're building systems to help these children. What are some advice, Darcy, that you would give to any parent new to the autism journey?
Yep, I'd say a couple things is to be able to learn how to co-regulate with your kids so that they can be able to have that calm point and that example of what calmness is, especially in moments where they need it, and being able to help them self-advocate. It's very important to help them get their needs met, and advocate for them when prior to that, while they're needing that additional help. Another thing I would say to parents is be able to self-care too. It's a lot of work, so I know it's easier said than done, but taking care of yourself so that you're able to take care of another individual just when you can. I know when my kids go in from school, I just take like 2 extra minutes in the car to just to transition and to give myself that little bit of space. And then another thing I would say is it's a community. It takes a village to raise a kid, and there's definitely lots of people here to help and give support.
Well, I love it. So I love it. Nathan, would you give us our final word? What are some advice that you would give parents new to the journey of autism?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything Darcy just shared. For me, I think one of the most helpful things was being able to embrace it, not seeing it as a disadvantage or a problem or something that needs to be fixed, but seeing it as an opportunity. Learning how to parent a child on the spectrum pushes you, and I think I'm a better dad for having learned how to work with him. And the other thing I would say is, try to get the negativity out of it. There's always that grief period where we want to fight it, we want to deny it, we want to look for alternatives to it. But at the end of the day, it's your child, it's them, and there are so many wonderful things to celebrate, to enjoy, and to experience on the road with an autistic child that you don't get necessarily with other kids, and they're memories and experiences that I cherish. And your children, they can feel your emotion, like they feel what you bring to the table. If you're upset, and like what Darcy said with co-regulation, if you're stressed, if you're mad about this, that comes across in your interactions, and they feel it. What they need is to feel accepted, to feel welcome, to feel celebrated. And so the faster you can create that internal switch inside yourself, the faster that translates to your kids, and it builds the relationships between you. So just loving it, loving the journey, acknowledging it's hard, but letting yourself grow as much as they do in the process.
Well, and I think that's really relatable to some parents that do struggle in accepting the new normal. And how do I embrace it? Do I fight it? Do I push it? Do I try to fix it? I love how well you said it, Nathan, that you just embrace it and love it. And opportunities will open up that you'll know how to celebrate with your child and to co-regulate. I talked to one therapist, and she was like, it's simple play. Just play with your child. You don't need to fix it, just play. I thought that was really, really good advice. Well, Nathan and Darcy, thank you so much for your time today. We'd love to have you back again in the future. For all those who are listening, thank you for joining us on the Polaris Connection, and go out and do some good, and we'll see you on our next episode.